What is going on, world? Welcome back once again. My name is ZacNovak and this is ZacNovak Plays Games, or Big ZacNovak. In today's video, which I do have to apologize, there haven't actually been videos for the last week. I've just been in a downward rut, I'll say that. But in today's video, I'm going over this week at Bungie, a bunch of information to go over, a cool amount of topics that are actually coming up, and a few events that I myself am very excited about. So let's roll the intros, let's get around into it, and I do hope you certainly enjoy. So this week, Bungie gave Guardians a chance to actually chase goals that mean really something more than just a tangible idea to them. This in itself, be it power, triumphs, exotics or quests, there has actually been an aim by Bungie to achieve. Ever since Cade 6 actually met his doom, as they did state in the Prison of Elders, which was fairly sad, we have ourselves shared a journey through the discoveries of Forsaken. Week after week, the community conversation has been dominated by the revelation of new secrets and challenges. Some of us Guardians have lamented the fact that it has actually been hard to keep up with everything. However, all these other Guardians still have the ideas and all these things that actually await them. So keep in mind all this stuff that is coming in the future, and at the moment is pretty awesome. Going over what they do state is now is a good time for almost all Guardians to take stock of what they've actually accomplished, what fights are next on their dance card, and what they think is most likely to be added to their collections. Most Guardians have been asked the question about their triumphs, god rolls, gear stats, and even titles. There is still a lot of accomplishments for Guardians to achieve in Forsaken. There is also plenty left to earn and plenty left to learn, if you are yourself yearning to do so. In itself, you might actually have sped right up and past other Guardians and got your accolades or certain rewards in rough to become raid ready. In itself, it was actually one of those things where I did see a lot of people were just running into it. Did Bungie actually state there were some secrets kept up their sleeves for Guardians to actually state with lifestyle of rich and exciting things? Yes, that actually is happening, and in the future conversations will begin soon. However, in the meantime, Bungie just want to state that still there are some questions have to be answered, and from day-to-day experiences for all Guardians to actually achieve and to actually enjoy. With these changes in themselves, the next round of updates begins. Starting things out with, they did state Guardians are going into Gambit for the Maleficent's quest. Yes, this beastly meatball, butthole, eyeball in the sky is one of those things that is fairly annoying. Look, I've got a clip of it where me and Unknown Clan actually got it randomly last week. I think no, it was this week. It was reset this week. So yeah, that was actually kind of cool. Anyway, going back to it, Bungie does actually state there are some changes in development for the actual update 2.0.5, which is planned for October 30th. However, before that, we are actually going to get, the Festival of the Lost. Talk about it in a little bit. There are some issues that are found in the game in the course of its work, and changes may be delayed or tweaked accordingly, so make sure you actually stay tuned for future updates. But without further ado, Bungie does state the Maleficent's acquisition. We've actually heard the player feedback concerning the spawn rates of the Ascendant Primal Servitor, and we are actually making adjustments to see how frequently it will appear. Again, me and Unknown Coin, we got it on reset. It was the day after reset. It was cool, and we got the Seething Heart thing, so yeah. Bungie does actually want us to know that during the cycle of curses in itself, known as the Full Curse Week, the Ascended Primal Servitor will have almost the same chance to spawn as other primals. So keep in mind the increasing chance for this boss to spawn during lesser curse weeks will actually still be there, but it is a lower actual chance to get him, unless it is a full curse week once again. For full transparency, Bungie does actually break it down and says since Ascendant Primal Servitor spawn rates will increase significantly when these changes are released, Bungie is actually tweaking how ships and Sparrow reward drop rates from this boss actually occur. These vanity items in themselves are no longer guaranteed drops from subsequent boss killings after a certain amount of earned for the quest. Instead, the vanity items in themselves will only now have a chance to actually drop from this said servitor. So keep in mind that in itself isn't really a big change, but the ship and the Sparrow in itself that some people did really like or some people were going for is going to be a little bit harder to get. Moving on though, we've got quitter protection. Bungie is actually currently developing a change to Gambit matchmaking that will help a lot of people in extended load times, where some players actually have been experiencing black screens and just, hearing background noise, not being able to load in. When this change in itself is actually released, Bungie will be re-enabling quitter penalties for Gambit. The playlist in itself, however, will be changed, and the increased number number of games played can actually leave before you are restricted from the playlist. So in other words, you can actually quit a few more times, but yeah, don't really quit, because that kind of sucks and it doesn't really help out your team. Bungie does state they are making changes to help mitigate some situations where bad internet connectivity results in this restriction. I myself have experienced it, but yeah, see that in the future. Power ammo crate changes. To help guarantee and balance some weapons, Bungie has actually changed the amount of ammo that you will receive from certain actual ammo catches when you are wearing certain weapons. So Sleeper Simulator in itself is going down from 4 shots to 2, and the sword is going up from 6 to 12. Most likely there's other tweaks in other different things. We'll have to see about that when we do actually play. The Gambit team in itself is also closely monitoring community feedback and looking at game data. In the future updates, we should actually expect changes to be in Gambit bounties, how frequently we earn rewards, and how other changes to the mode will actually give teams the lead in greater challenges or greater advantages. Bungie will also be back in future weeks to shed more light on the future of Gambit as it continues. However, that is it from the Gambit team. And keeping in mind, last year we did actually have roadmaps for the Telltale of Destiny 2. Now at the moment we don't really know exactly how Destiny 2 will evolve, however Bungie is subsequently dropping some knowledge and giving us some insight into what this may be. In the coming months, the plans for the seasons and annual pass items are still actually worth illustrating in themselves. That doesn't actually mean that you will receive updates that address the issues you've been talking about here, but some of the changes are downloadable in the future and with the hope and actually are worth putting into your calendar time. Bungie does actually state there is a quick preview of what we can expect from each of them. So going over the update 2.0.4, tentatively is scheduled for October 16th when Festival of the Lost drops, again talking about that soon, but they do state. And going over this quite rapidly, they've added the ability to hover over lost sectors to see the name once a player has actually looted them. Players can now track up to 3 pursuits in their pursuit tabs. They added Through the Flood and Fire, Zenobia D and Crooked Fang 4FR to the world legendary pool. Edge Transit in itself will actually now have some company. They're increasing the scout rifle damage in PvE against non-player enemies in Gambit in itself as well. They fixed an issue where the bugs of Primal engrams were going straight to the postmaster at the end of crucial matches, and they were never actually shown alongside with other actual endgame rewards. Added transmat effects to collections under the flare category. This in itself is tracking for acquired transmat effects, begin with the actual launch of Forsaken, which was back in September 4th. The transmat effects gained inventory or postmaster used or dismantled after the date will actually unlock in the collections. Transmat effects are unlocked when added to the player inventory and not when gained with ships that actually have pre-socketed transmat effects. They have actually identified an issue that is very rare where players in Gambit invasions portals weren't actually being reactivated once used, and they are currently developing a fix. They are also developing a fix for an issue where one of 1,000 voices may actually cause loud screeching noises when to be fired or strafing and jumping, which I myself honestly find that pretty funny because, you know, 1,000 voices and it screeches, it's cool. And continuing on, the Destiny 2 update 2.0.5 tentatively scheduled for October 30th, 2018. Please note the changes listed below are currently in development. These could change, be impacted or be delayed, or if cuts are issued or found, stay tuned for updates. Rebalancing functionality of distribution dynamo perks requiring players to near opponents for super energy benefits in itself is being changed, so you know we don't get our super back as fast. They are slightly increasing the sword damage in PvE to aggress player feedback. They're slightly increasing fusion rifle damage in PvE that is increasing viability of Maleficence in PvE and Gambit activities. They're adjusting visibility of the Titan's banner shield, making it easier for players to see through the effects. They're adjusting exotic rewards to help reduce the number of duplicates. Players may actually still receive duplicates, but there will no longer be the better changes of you actually being, getting better chance to get Forsaken exotics when receiving exotic rewards. The chance of Nightfall for unique rewards to drop will increase each time a Nightfall is completed without a unique drop. They added Masterwork cores as rewards for specific spider wanted bounties and general scrapper bounties. They're reducing the time for a single shader deletion from your inventory, and they're actually developing a fix for an issue where your team will be defeated in the Ascended Primal challenge and you actually kill it. However, the enemy team does actually receive the credit for the kill. Expect more of the changes in the future and stay tuned for the updates in the coming weeks. Bungie is going over the wishes and curses quickly. If Forsaken was like any other Destiny content release right about now, you might actually be wondering where is, the prestige version of the raid. Well, Bungie has actually stated that as they have gone through and actually noticed, their goals for this expansion have been very different. All year long, they've actually been working behind the scenes to reinvent the way the story campaign feeds into a lasting hobby. They've actually set out changes into the world where everything in the way you actually collect gear to the way you tackle enemies has been changed in the endgame. With these goals to create a more varied and rewarding experience across the endgame of Destiny laid out before us, Bungie has actually wished to go through and make a series of difficult choices. One of these choices was that there would no longer actually be creating multiple difficulties of Last Wish Raid. Instead, Forsaken would focus on making sure the single difficulty mode of the Last Wish was highly rewarding, and there were plenty of unique activities to participate in for great rewards across the entire endgame. Once this decision was made, Bungie actually focused on creating one of the most definitive versions of Last Wish with no qualifiers attached to it. They wanted to actually state that they did create an expansion that offered the truest form of every encounter from day one and offered some of the most powerful rewards in the game to anyone who could actually succeed. They also state if you're holding an annual pass, look for more of this about the next layer we're actually creating for raiders such as yourself fairly soon. First though, there are other events to observe. The event in itself being Lost and Found, also known as Festival of the Lost. Now Bungie does only briefly go over this, but they do state, welcome to October. This month will be home to another Festival of the Lost. It begins on October 16th, 2018 with a celebration of lost heroes and a new challenge to tackle. It includes a costume party, we're all invited, and it ends with a quest to solve a murder. So that in itself, I do honestly think has potentially something to do with either Thorn or Dredge and Yor or something like that. Just, you know, I've got that feeling. They do state, be on the lookout for next week with the full reveal on what is actually scaring up for this season. But finally finishing things off, on Tuesday this week, there was Backend Maintenance. Bungie did conduct Backend Maintenance on Destiny services. While no systems were brought offline, the API, meaning the apps and things you use to actually access your stuff like the Companion and DIM, users may have actually noticed a momentary interruption of their Companion services use. There have been a few different problems with Toil and Trouble. With the launch of Season of the Outlaw, Bungie has updated how players gain ranks and earn loot from Commander Zavala. Players who visit him may notice that he actually now has a new reward system called Nightfall Ranks. Now, Nightfall ranks are different to Vanguard ranks in themselves. They represent a player's progression through all of Destiny 2's Nightfall strikes and are incremented every time a player completes a different Nightfall strike with a bonus threshold of over 100,000 points. For each Nightfall where players surpass its bonus threshold, their Nightfall rank will incrementally upgrade and increase towards a whole new point. For players who achieve the maximum Nightfall rank of 14, it makes Zavala Tier 10 Masterwork Toil and Trouble available in itself will be purchasable, and itself players will actually need to surpass the 100,000 point bonus threshold in said 14 Nightfalls. So in itself, it is pretty cool. In addition to the Nightfall ranks, that it is State Commander Zavala also oversees the Vanguard ranks. The system functions much the same to the peer progression seasons, and they only require players to earn Vanguard packages by turning in reputation tokens earned by completing strikes and Vanguard bounties. And finally, there is a few known issues. With Gambit, the Maleficent's boss, Bungie is actually investigating issues where a team will defeat the Ascended Primal Servitor, but the opposing team will receive credit for the kill. The Infusion without Masterwork cores, Bungie is actually investigating an issue where players who have no Masterwork cores in their inventory are unable to infuse gear, even if Masterwork cores are not required for the immediate infusion cost. Heroic adventures on Mercury for some players are actually, having to be repeated. We have to go through and play the original Mercury adventure and then do the heroic so you can actually achieve it. And the clan bounty progression percentages, Bungie is also tracking an issue where Hawthorne's weekly clan XP progression appears to be resetting during the week for some players. And that is pretty much it for this week at Bungie. A bunch of information, a bunch of cool stuff. Let me know if you guys are hyped about any of it. I myself am definitely excited for Festival of the Lost because it's Festival of the Lost and we get to solve a murder, which that could be cool. And there could be other stuff that kind of goes with it. We could have new shaders, new emotes. Most likely we'll have a lot of emotes. Just please, Bungie, don't make it Festival of the Cost. Just make it Festival of the Lost. We can earn these things through actually doing gameplay and stuff. Fingers crossed it's like that. Let me know in the comment section down below what you guys are excited for. If any of this stuff does actually pique your interest, let me know once again in the comment section. Do all the good stuff. If you guys did enjoy this video, leave a like, leave a comment. Let me know what you guys did actually think about this kind of content, doing more stuff like this. Hopefully, I'm going to be getting back into doing daily videos if I can just get out of this, this depressionary rut. But yeah, I'm getting there. Anyway. This has been ZacNovak. This has been This Week at Bungie. Do all the good stuff though, and I'll be Sharon like he was Ed Sheeran. But until next time, this is ZacNovak, signing off. Peace out. Also, sorry if you can hear the rain. It's pouring rain here in Australia. Anyway, peace out.